Hey there, Void. Jabirzo, continuing his never-ending slog through the Resident Evil series. I say slog, but it's really not that bad, but it just feels like it's going on forever. And I still got two more, plus another CG one, if I'm feeling frisky. And really, I'm running through this month a lot quicker than I was expecting to. We're already here on it's now the night of turning into the 17th, and I didn't want the whole thing to be taken up by Resident Evil. I did want to finally get around to seeing all of them, and it seemed like a good time to do it. But I've got a lot of other movies on the back burner that are video game related, and I'm going to run out of May before I run out of those. Hopefully I can at least get to some of the highlights, even if I don't get through everything. Well, anyway, I don't have as much problems with Resident Evil Afterlife as I did with Extinction. Still some, but not as many. So, this one picks up pretty much right where the last one left off. At first I was a little confused, because we start with Tokyo with a whole lot of people. And I was thinking, wasn't most of the world wiped out? No? Yes? But, turns out that was beforehand, so it was a flashback to how the infection started in Tokyo. How it really started, it doesn't really say, it just shows one girl just kind of zombieing out. Okay. I guess that they were saying that it spread throughout the whole world, so very well. It begins with Alice and her clones assaulting a Resident Evil facility and trying to kill Albert Wesker. Okay, cool. And I do like this portrayal of Wesker. The actor doing him is quite entertaining. Unfortunately, I don't have him conveniently listed here for who he was. Alice. Oh. Anyway. So, decent opening action scene. And then we go to Alice trying to reconvene with the group that went up to Alaska at the end of the last film. Now, I do appreciate that the film isn't completely barren wasteland like the last one was. But considering the last one made a point of saying that it was affecting plant life and water and animals and killing everything, that seeing all this pristine-looking nature was a little... It seemed like they had to backpedal a little bit from where they were at. But at least it made it better and more interesting to look at than dune after dune after dune. But on her flight out there, she reaches where she thinks this place is supposed to be, a place called Arcadia. Find a bunch of planes, but can't find any sign of the town. She does find Claire Redfield, who suddenly attacks her, apparently seeming to have been living out there savage, and wearing some sort of weird, scarabee control device. That control device, straight from Resident Evil 5, I believe? So, okay, cool, we're working some more stuff in, even though 5 was dealing with a different company than Umbrella, but I digress. Now, she's lost her memory, can't explain really what happened, but those two go off and end up finding more survivors in a... It's not exactly clear where it is, it's more down the coast. Not quite at Alaska, they get the impression of, but... And they awkwardly land their plane. And at a prison, and are essentially a prison surrounded by zombies, and they're trying to see what they can do to get these people out. And there they encounter Chris Redfield, another protagonist from the games. Though he is everyone there believes him to be a murderer, despite him claiming to be military, and has him locked up. And Claire doesn't remember him because she's still doing the amnesia thing. And they're doing their best to try to figure out what's going on. And they finally realize that Arcadia is a ship and is sailing down the coastline and is very nearby, though for some reason it stopped responding. So they're trying to figure out a way to get to Arcadia. And it gets complicated when the undead start burrowing their way in. Or hammering at the gates as one giant executioner guy with a hammer axe goes bashing his way in. Now, the hammer axe guy and the zombies that crawl in, which have these tentacle things coming out, are again from, I believe, Resident Evil 5. The tentacly ones in particular are the Magina, which I know it's this nitpicky point, which are tied into a different virus. Those are from the Las Plagas parasite, rather than the T virus. I know I was giving Silent Hill a pass on mixing and matching its monsters, but I can understand why they changed their monsters. This one, they still have plenty of Umbrella-related monsters that they could have touched on. From all sorts of mutated animals, to these reptilian-looking creatures, to even working a bit more with the liquors and actually trying to do them where they don't look terrible. But no, we're just bringing in something from later games just because they're more topical, I guess. It's a small nitpick, didn't really take me out of it, other than the fact that their tentacle things are terrible CG. Again, Resident Evil still can't really do the CG thing very well. The big hulking guy with the axey thingy, he was fine. Now, this one was originally in 3D, so they are throwing a lot of shit right at the camera. I don't really have a problem with those movies, but that gimmick, they do look a little weird when they're not in 3D, but it's fine. Anyway, so it's pretty much their trek out there, and then them coming to terms with more problems that they find on the ship. Namely, that the ship itself was a trap by the Umbrella Corporation, and now they're in a life-or-death fight with Wesker, who's hopped up all on T-Virus himself. Cool. Now, at the beginning, he injected Alice with something to take away her God mode powers, which I'm okay with kind of resetting her down to a more manageable level. She still seems to be ass-kicking just fine, other than the fight immediately at the time, but she seems to at least lost her telekinetic craziness. Which, I'm okay with dropping her down to a bit more mortal. What was a little stupid about that was, okay, when he injects her, they show her bloodstream and with this antivirus attacking the T-virus cells. Okay, cool. Why did they make the T-virus cells look like little T's? Little cell-shaped T's floating around there. Really, guys? Really? T-virus is short for tyrant virus. It's an abbreviation. Not because it looks like little T's in your bloodstream. The part was a little painful. And even taking that out of the equation, it's a little silly. Well, otherwise, this one, unlike the last one, is more of a return to form for ridiculous action and zombie shenanigans. Not quite up to the tiers of Apocalypse or the original, but it's more enjoyable than Extinction was to me. Some of the action is just ridiculous, sure, but that's again part of its charm. So this one's a 3 MacGuffin for me. I'd put it a little bit below Apocalypse, which also I put at 3, but now this one still doesn't answer me the questions of what happened to the little girl, and I have a feeling we're never going to get that answer. But this one does, at least, for a bit of a spoiler, in a mid-credit scene, touch on Jill Valentine, indicating she'll be more focused on in the next movie. So, we're at least making progress to getting that addressed. Well, that's really all I can go in on this one. It's, at this point, if you're still watching the Resident Evil series, you know what you're in for, and you're probably in it for the long haul. This one definitely won't bring you in if you didn't care for any of the other ones. But for me, it's still fun enough. Well, that's it on this one. I'm going to keep breaking these up and probably touch on the sequel to Silent Hill next time, just to bang that one out. And it's one that I haven't seen in a while anyway. So I'm looking forward to revisiting it. Even accepting that I know it's not quite as good as the first one, but it still had some charm. But more on that next time. Have a good night.